Hi there, Internet. What's happening?
Hey, Internet, what's going on? Chris and Kim here again for another episode of Rambling Tea Time. I think I'm doing good.
That is great. I am also well.
Okay.
Internet, it's okay sometimes to run away. Life is not always going to be happy and fun, and sometimes we just need to turn in the opposite direction. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's my good luck for the
Here
internet this
today.
week. Yeah.
Okay.
My advice
Okay.
this week. So for today's topic,
Ooh.
I really wanted to ask Christopher a question concerning it. But before we do that,
Ooh.
we must give um a rating to this episode. So this episode is only for mature audiences.
What are you going to be talking about today?
It is only for mature audiences. So if there are
Huh.
any I want to say children, I
I
don't
don't think
think any of them
children are
listen
listening
to
to
us,
this.
but if there are any, even just teenagers probably shouldn't be in here,
Nah, I
but they
don't.
may know.
What are you talking about that could be so, terrible?
So I gave the warning, okay?
Okay.
It's the Omegaverse. You've heard of the Omegaverse?
Yes. Why are we talking about the Omegaverse, Ghibli?
Well, we're not like talking about it, but I wanted to ask you a question about a situation that may happen in it.
Okay.
I don't know if you would know the
I
answer.
I know of Omegaverse.
Okay.
Yes. Do you want to lead on what you know about it as well?
Let me just read what the Wikipedia
Oh,
says
you have the Wikipedia
because
page. Okay, go ahead.
I will not be able to explain it properly myself. So just listen, internet,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
okay? So Omegaverse, also known as ABO, an
Yeah.
abbreviation for Alpha Beta Omega, is a subgenre of speculative erotic fiction and originally a subgenre of erotic flash fan fiction. Stories in this genre are premised on societies wherein humans are divided into dominance hierarchy of dominant alphas, neutral betas, and submissive omegas. These terms are derived from those used in the ethology of to describe social hierarchies in animals. Mainly, people have said wolves, but that's actually not how it is in the wolf kingdom.
It's not
But
really
anyhow,
because that wasn't the whole alpha beta thing, alpha male wolf type thing that came about was actually kind of like bad research,
right.
right? And but it stuck because it got I think in like a science journal and it spread and then it became part of the cultural zeitgeist about stuff, right? But it's not really true.
It's not true about wolves in the first place.
Yes,
They don't.
there are like lone wolves, but that kind of stands for like many other
Different animals,
animals that
exactly.
go off and they're lone and stuff like that. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's an alpha or whatever, and it doesn't mean that the animal that's leading a pack is the alpha male or
Right.
whatever. Because it's just like this one is probably the strongest or whatever, or the biggest or whatnot.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily mean alpha and beta or whatever kind of thing. But you know how things are, and Omegaverse.
I first came across this, I think, 2 or 3 years ago.
How
Well, I read BL.
I know.
And I didn't know really about even a lot about BL at the time either. But I don't care because I like to read, new stuff. When you come across different stories, you're always going to find, well, hopefully actually, you find something that is new or you're unfamiliar with something.
Hmm.
It's always good to, I want to say, broaden your horizons.
Yes.
Okay. So I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not really sure.
Hmm.
But around that time, and I don't know what it was that I read because it's not even something that I can go back and look at my list. It may be there, but
Hmm.
I don't even know either.
But you just remember that it pretty much get cemented
Right,
this
right.
whole idea in your brain.
Definitely, definitely. Because the whole thing with the Omegaverse, and I have to say in manga or manhwa,
Uh-huh.
is that Omegas can become pregnant.
Yes.
And usually the stories will focus on an alpha and
Mm-hmm.
an omega.
Yes.
I have never seen a story that focused on a beta.
Because betas are considered below alphas.
No, right, they are, but they're considered above omegas as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, Omegas are the only one. Okay, I know about the Omegaverse like for years now,
Uh-huh.
and the way how it always is, Omegas are always seen as the ones who are like the most
Weak.
they're most weak, but they're also the ones who seem to give off like
Right. So
pheromones.
omegas give off pheromones, and that causes
To
alphas
go
to
mad.
go wild
I
because
go.
they smell them
Mm-hmm.
basically, and then they go into, what do you call
Okay.
those
You
things?
remember, you want to know how, for me, I always originally thought that the Omegaverse blew up because of shit like Twilight and around the 2010s and
I
stuff with the
definitely
super
did not know
like
about it
weird
then.
supernatural stuff like I guess like Vampire Diaries because and there was the whole other wolf show that even I watched and stuff like around that time there was this whole reemergence of like sexy vampires, sexy wolfmen type of thing that was big, and I remember Twilight even has a scene because Edward is always like he can smell Bella and Bella smells good. And that's like when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, is this Omegaverse shit? It kind
Really?
of
Since back then?
yeah, because
Wow.
even then back then things were made, fan fiction stuff was made that was based on Twilight that ended up becoming Omegaverse like slash fiction.
I was a youth then.
I was a youth
An
then,
innocent youth, a
but
pure, innocent, untainted youth.
I was already tainted by the
I know you
dirt and
were.
the
I'm
mud.
so glad that a lot of the things in my childhood,
I
that I could
protected you.
possibly come across, I didn't.
I protected you by being the one there who was
I know you say it was you, but there are
utterly
probably
broken.
people in my classes and at my school who knew those things as well.
Yeah, I never really super got into it because on AO3, which is kind of like a fan site for like stuff like that. I used to like visit and like read stuff on there,
Hmm.
and that's how I kind of like first remember like finding out about like Omegaverse or like having like the whole ideas being spread out on me as what it's all about.
Hmm.
Not my
Cup,
not my
not your
cup of
cup.
tea, but some of the stories are okay. That has some interesting fantasy elements, but I always remember it. Definitely, a lot of them were like kind of hyper violent.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why, actually. First of all, I don't want to say that I don't like it. I think maybe it's fine. Those who like it can like it. But whenever I come across these stories,
Mm-hmm.
it's always by accident. It's like I'll find something and it won't say anything
Uh
about
huh.
it in
Uh
the
huh.
summary, and I'll think it's a normal thing,
And then
right?
you read it, and
But
it's like,
then when I read it, it's like, okay,
oh,
okay. And then I put it away from me. Because there are certain things that I don't there are certain genres of things that I just do not partake in.
I understand. Yeah.
Not
No.
not
No.
within the earth's span distance away from me.
Uh huh.
Okay? But Omegaverse is kind of one of those as well. I'm not a fan because, like you just mentioned, there's a lot of violence. Usually, the Omega
Is the one
would
being
have
hurt?
been raped. This
Yes.
has to do with sexual
I
abuse.
think that's the thing with like some certain boy love fiction too.
I think that Yaoi and BL are shown in I. They have issues with like consent.
Consent.
A
It's
lot
so
of
it's
them.
honestly, but at the same time, I understand it because you see the same thing in like
You
normal
see them in
heterosexual things,
normal, mature, and adult things, whether
but it
it
does
doesn't matter who it
but it does
is.
seem like a majority of like yaoi relationships and stuff like that or boy love stuff seems to predominantly be like mostly the violent type stuff,
Yeah.
or there's always a dynamic where there's an what is considered an alpha and a beta type of situation. Like this is a bit setup for many BL stories. Like there's a cop, and then there's a guy who works in the mafia, and either one of them might be the the alpha or the beta, and there's always some sort of violence in between or before they come together and realize they love each other. But it's like, this is terrible.
It
You
is.
guys shouldn't be together.
It's really terrible. I don't like things that are like that either.
But I
I don't
mean,
like when they say
that
that love comes from violence. That's basically what they're saying, right?
I mean, I treat it kind of like how I treat any erotic fiction or like hentai or anything. It's like, yeah, this is just a tag, and this is for somebody who is interested in it. This is not my cup of tea. I just wish
Yeah.
that it didn't pop up so. It just feels like most of anything that goes for a male on male relationship, or it seems to be hedged more in that type of way of like
I don't, it doesn't
violence.
have to be. So yaoi is the top tier one, I want to say, is the
Uh-huh.
most visual,
Yes.
is what I want to say. And at the bottom is it shonen ai, where
Yeah.
it'll just show, like it's like
Yeah.
shoujo.
It's like
It'll
that's
be
it
something
doesn't.
that you can consume, that anybody can
Yeah.
consume
Yeah.
without feeling any kind of like scary
Because they
kind of
don't try
way.
to with like shoujo ai or shonen ai. That's what it used to be called before. They don't try to like super push it, but it's always
Right.
implied.
They aren't going to show you something explicit,
Yeah.
basically, in
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
ones.
Those are the safe, quote unquote,
Right.
safe ones.
Safe.
But when you see yaoi and then you see the sexual violence tag, and it's like, you know
You
what?
know what? There, I think that a lot of hentai and a lot of mature or adult erotic stuff,
Uh
right?
huh.
Manga, particularly, could really have the sexual violence tag added onto them,
Mm-hmm.
because if a person is saying no, for
Then,
me that's already, if it
yeah.
continues, it's already
Mm-hmm.
rape,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
already sexual abuse.
Yeah.
If you're telling me that this person is saying no but they mean yes, I cannot believe it.
Oh God. I mean, that's why it's fiction. This is why it's fiction. Anyways, back to Omegaverse. We've derailed and gone on a tangent. But yeah, I remember this kind of like popping up more like, yeah, 2010s on to now. Within the last 10 years, it's become far more popular. Um, I I think I read weird one where it was like Red Riding Hood, but Red Riding Hood was the boy, and the wolf fell in love with Red Riding Hood,
What?
and but he then later on he became a lady, and then he got, I don't know, I know. Oh my God, Kimberly, you're unearthing memories that I had buried in my
I'm the one who
mind.
doesn't know what you're saying.
I read this years ago. It was, I don't remember. I think it was actually a comic too. The wolf fell in love with Red Riding Hood, but Red Riding Hood was a boy, and then the woodcutter, who saved the woodsman who like kills the wolf,
Okay.
was a girl
Okay.
who saved. I don't remember if she saved him or not, because I remember there was like two endings. The bad ending. Wow, I don't remember that. Wow, I'm seeing it in my mind now. I hate you. Why are you bringing this up right now?
I don't know. Oh, right. That has to do with the question that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, you haven't asked
That's
it
the
yet.
reason why I brought up all this. So, if this is something else. I did not know that there were females
Oh yeah.
in the Omegaverse
Yes.
until last year,
There
or
are
about a year ago.
it was rarer. It was mostly considered a male on male thing, but there are stories with like
Right, right.
female omegas
And since
and
my
stuff like that.
only consumption of them would have been in manga or manhwa of that like
They're novels
genre,
now.
they're not. I want to say they're less ones with women.
Yes.
So what
Type
I
of
was
thing.
thinking is this: if an alpha woman
Uh-huh.
sleeps with an omega man or woman, doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
Does the omega get pregnant then?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you know
You do
for
realize
certain?
you're dealing with a sort of fiction where men get pregnant,
No, that's not. I'm not having issue
so it
with it.
could
I just want
happen.
to know if it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
I also don't know.
Those of you who read Omegaverse and know of a situation where an alpha female impregnated or gets somebody pregnant that's an Omega, let us know.
Um, yeah.
That was your question?
That
Seriously?
was my question.
I don't know enough. There's probably, but it's rare to find an alpha that's. I don't think I've never
I
heard of an
don't think
alpha
it's going to work
female.
like that because they call them in the genre itself. It's called their secondary sex. So they still have
Right.
their first
I
sex,
didn't know about this. You're
right?
giving me new knowledge that I
I
didn't know about.
I don't even know if I'm saying that
So it's like,
properly.
is it like hermaphroditism? Like, it's like then
Meaning,
that they have. You said there's like there's secondary sex, right?
uh-huh.
So do they have both then, right?
No. So I think this is what it means. You're a man
Uh huh.
and that's your primary
My
sex.
secondary sex would have to be female then.
No. Your
What?
secondary sex is being an alpha, a beta, or an omega. That's how
Oh.
I read it. That's how I understand it. We're looking at
Okay.
each other like with eyes open wide. We don't know.
We're probably going to have to do a follow up episode where we do more research on this, don't we?
Okay.
But do you have anything else you want to say about Omega first?
I just wish that the Omegaverse would not be so violent.
I
Like I've
mean,
said, I can't say that I've seen a lot. But from what I've seen, an Omega um accidentally goes into a heat cycle, right? They accidentally have their heat cycle and
psycho.
they haven't taken their pills because they have
What?
suppressant pills that they need to take to suppress their pheromones. Okay? So then
What?
an alpha will come along and do the deed with them to stop them from going through their heat cycle because the only way to suppress it is with the pills, the medicine that
Or
they take, or to
sex.
have sex.
Or to
Exactly.
breed. Okay.
Not breed, but
I'm looking there at the Wikipedia page and it talks about scent marking and breeding and.
okay. So right. Just reading those words together is too funny. Internet, the Wikipedia Omegaverse page is just too funny. I don't know why. It says this includes rutting and heat cycles, pheromonal attraction between alphas and omegas, penises with knots called knotting, scent marking, breeding, and pack structures. Right. So I know about the heat cycles. I'm telling you how the
Cycle.
stories will start off, right?
Uh-huh.
And then after they do the deed,
You're saying it like
the
that.
the alpha will be so enamored
Ah,
with
yeah,
this
yeah.
omega.
Uh-huh.
It'll be the best that they ever had, basically, or something.
Just like Edward and Bella from Twilight.
Right. Okay. And then something happens, stuff always happens, the dramatic stuff in romantic stories, and they end up together. Right? But at some point, the alpha will go into a rut. And
Oh,
that's when they get
Jesus.
really violent and have to have, like, I don't know, if they have sex at that moment, it's like really violent. Um, I don't know how else to explain it. It'll probably be the worst sex for the person receiving.
The Omega.
No, whoever is receiving the alpha, it'll probably be their
Oh,
worst
man.
because the rut is like this whole like wild cycle.
Dubcon stuff like this is always like that. And by dubcon, I mean dubious consent type of stuff.
I don't think it's dubious consent. If a person says no,
But then they say yes.
no. If a
Oh,
person says
God.
no,
Uh-huh.
stop. Please stop.
But it's not. But I mean, that is not This is not that sort of a fit
Of a
like
genre.
genre. This is like,
This is the genre where when the character says that,
yes,
it continues on, which is a problem.
Sorry to bring it Twilight again, but I'm thinking about the scent marking. You know what happens when Jacob smells their baby and then they like imprinting?
Jacob smells their baby and then what?
She imprints on him.
Who imprints on who?
Bella's and Thing's baby that they have.
Edward's baby imprints on Jacob?
Yeah.
When?
At the end of like the movies. When
she's a baby?
Yes.
While she's a baby?
Yes.
She imprints on him?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
You don't know this?
She's a vampire?
Yes, a baby vampire.
The baby is a vampire?
But then she grows up really fast.
So she's an adult?
I don't know how it works. I just remember that being a thing. And thinking about, feels very close to the whole set marking thing.
I think in the Omegaverse, it's the neck or something. They bite the neck. And that's like marking their person or something like
vampires that. Vampires and werewolves used to be so simple back in the day. Even though vampires always would be like always trying to kidnap a lady, then again, no, they never were simple. Vampires were always perverts.
Exactly. The world has really grown.
The world has really grown,
haven't they?
Ah, yes.
The world. No. This one I want to say. The world is really at peace. Even though the world is not at peace, they can make things like this because people are idle and have nothing to do. I feel
that is great. More erotic fan fiction for everybody to go wrong. See, they mention Archive of Our Own, which is AO3. That's where a lot of this stuff I remember popping up and things like that, and people getting popular, and then writers who wrote Omega fiction went on to write their own novels, and then they've got their own novels published, and then it's all over the place now. It's pretty common. It's like, very common. And I'm not the biggest fan of it, but hey, to each their own. I like weird shit too.
I don't mind it if it's a good story. You know I'm all about a good story.
Yes.
But I feel there are lines you shouldn't cross even if it is, I don't know, in the structure of that genre.
I think it's just not your type of thing. It's definitely, because it says it right there in the title, Kimberly.
Where?
/ erotic fan fiction. This isn't going to be good, wholesome, erotic stuff. This is weird, nutting, rutting, oh my god, stuff.
It's weird stuff.
It's weird stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it beauty?
Yeah. Something this weird probably wouldn't have been able to be seen or viewed years and years ago. But people are free to write their weird Edward X, Bella X, Jacob fan fiction.
Is that a thing?
Kimberly, come on!
Right, it's probably a thing.
Literally, what is called that came out too long ago that was about BDSM? Well, no, sorry, it was a bad BDSM book.
What?
Shades of Grey? What's it called?
Oh, 50 Shades of Grey.
That started as Twilight fan fiction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't
pretty
know
sure it started
about
on
that.
AO3 too by the.
I did not
author.
even. Have you ever read it?
No, I know that it's not good. I haven't read it, but I know it's not good. But yeah, because in that it's the same shit that's going on. Like they just don't practice good BDSM like things between people. But I'm not even going to get into that. I'm not gonna.
That's another.
I'm not gonna show
topic.
What.
I think that's another day's topic.
BDSM?
And on a side note of BDSM, if you are going to do that, if you're into that kind of stuff, you should make sure that you and your partner or partners have a safe word.
Oh, yeah.
It is paramount.
That was pretty much the issue people had with 50 Shades of Grey, in that people were this stuff is going to push it, but people who participated in like BDSM and stuff like that, or like it was a bad look for those of them who participate in this type of fetish or whatnot, you want to say, because it was like this isn't practicing like safety or anything.
Exactly. Safety is always important in anything that you do.
Pretty much.
It cannot be stressed enough. Even though sex is a pleasurable endeavor, or it should be at least, sometimes it can get, hairy situations happen.
And even though some people like hairy situations, you should still be,
safe.
Safe. Yes.
Yeah. Is that all for today? We haven't talked a lot, but
I know you kind of dropped this whole Omegaverse thing on me, and
I only had the one question to ask though about the female alpha if she can impregnate an Omega. That was my question.
Well, you don't type it in to see what Google has to say.
Oh,
I'm serious.
Okay.
Can a female alpha impregnate a beta or whatever Omega? Oh my god. Somebody has asked this question.
Let's see.
Omegaverse question. Fanfiction Reddit.
Really? Look.
What?
The first thing says that female alphas have penises. So
is it like hyenas? Because female hyenas have
so
fake
true.
penises. So it's like that then. So it is like so everybody has both sexes then? For an alpha female to be female, she has to have the female parts, and then she has a penis. So as with
the commenter says, the question is this, everyone on Reddit: can a female alpha impregnate a male Omega? And the first commenter, our top commenter, says, as with most things in the Omegaverse, the answer is yes, if you want it to work that way.
I mean, that's the beauty of fiction. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
That's hilarious. They say it's not very standardized.
I figured as much, because most like Omega stuff is still mostly alpha male, Omega male, or Omega female type stuff. Kimley's reading that thing. This person knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, this person is a pro. I should read the whole of this later. But like I said, you know what? It could become my cup of tea if I read more with female alphas.
Okay.
I mean, I'm all about what do you call it? Women power, female power, fighting the actual man.
Really no.
I'm not a feminist. But I will stand up for my sisters. Christopher is deading.
Because I like how he's like, this could be my cup of tea if it got female alphas with penises in it.
I didn't say that. You were the one who said that. Wow. Are you okay? You need some water?
This topic is something else.
It is. It is.
So you...
We're gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
For tonight, internet.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that no mentally...
You probably introduced somebody to something that they didn't know about, and you've put them down a path that they will never escape from.
Don't blame things on other people. That's what you shouldn't do in life. You should take responsibility for your actions.
And your actions led to poor listener number 4796. And they have now gone down a path of Omegaverse, and they'll never escape.
Listen, I already gave a warning at the beginning. They could have paused, looked it up really quickly, and ran away. They didn't. They stuck here.
But Omegaverse is fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Listen.
It's
like
fun
I
to
said,
laugh and joke about, but
exactly.
It's pretty fun, though.
And I think it's not bad. It's great that there are always new things coming up in the world. As long as they don't cause any harm to people, should be fine.
Yeah.
R to the planet. Should be fine. You know, all in good fun, I want to say.
I mean, I've read things where swords were alive and the swords were doing it with a gut. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff out there.
There
And
is.
if you enjoy Omegaverse, more power to you. Send Kimberly some that are good, because she seems that she has an interest in it. Send her some that might be good.
Like I said, I'll read just about anything.
Me too.
If something comes in and I find that it's a good story, I will read it, even if it's an Omegaverse
Because I
world.
know there was one Omegaverse that actually had I think it was based in space, and it was actually kind of good. And it had if I remember correctly, the reason behind why humans were like kind of like the way they were now in this like Omegaverse type of thing was because of like aliens and stuff like that. It was interesting. It was kind of a fun take on the whole thing itself, but it was just set in space, and the reason why they're alpha, omegas, and betas was because humanity was like slaves to like aliens at one point, and that's what they did to make them like this way. So it was kind of weird and stuff, but it was still, you know. So like stuff like that is still kind of cool and whatnot. So yeah, there are good ones out there. I just haven't read them in like over a decade. That is all I think we have to say about Omegaverse.
Yeah.
We might come back to this topic later. Thank you guys for listening, and we hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.